A Millie and Theo production presents
a series of weird and wonderful tales of the fantastic and fabulous Philip Gearing. We begin, as all great biographies should, with a small rodent and an existential question.
One memory that stands out to me is Uncle Philip explaining the lifespan of a hamster. In primary school, I had a very real love and obsession with the idea of having a pet hamster. I wanted a hamster so much, in fact, that I named my belly button Hamster. Maybe to make me feel better, to stop my obsession with the bloody things, or just to freak me out, Uncle Philip decided to tell me that I wouldn't want a hamster anyway, as when they get to the age of 3, they'll explode in their cage. There's nothing you can do to stop it, and that's just what happens when they die. I was mortified by this, but the obsession with wanting a pet hamster disappeared overnight.
The next chapter takes us to art college, where ambition was high.
Well, Philip, I first met you 40 odd years ago, and I thought, well, that's a very nice young man. I must wish you a very happy 60th birthday.
Philip has never been afraid of a challenge, even when it's raining, especially, actually, when it's raining.
A good few years ago, your father engaged me to support him in a sponsored walk. Come the said morning, the Sunday morning, it was a howling gale, absolutely pouring down, and off we set. And we made our way through to Dymchurch. We were absolutely soaked and stopped for a sticky bun and a cup of tea. And I remember walking along the wall from Dymchurch through to Hythe, and I was feeling absolutely abject miserable with the wind blowing in our faces. And there was Philip, bouncing around like Zebedee, endless enthusiasm and engaging chat and observations, and it honestly kept me going. He is one of a kind, and I'm so pleased I know him.
Every man has that one friend who knows what really happened, from charity runs to a grassy knoll.
First time I ever met your dad, which was at Crabble Lane when he was obviously going out with Claire. I started talking to him about the JFK shooting assassination, and it was a conspiracy theory that I believed in then, and I still sort of believe in now. And we argued quite passionately. And I thought, and even at the early stage, I thought, I'm going to get on with him, because he had an opinion, and he also had a lot of humour about it as well.
Maria was the target. Martin was the co-conspirer. Philip, naturally, the director of chaos.
Some time ago, when Maria was going to be interviewed, it may have been the One Show or something similar. Anyway, Philip rang her up pretending to be the producer, and then started to inform Maria over a number of phone calls about the type of clothing she had to wear during the interview. This caused Maria a sense anxiety while he was ringing her. Then Maria would ring me directly back about 2 seconds later while we were in the same room. It was a little bit cruel, but it did eventually come true. But it was a very good prank, one of the better ones, I think.
Years later, the mischief mellowed, but the creativity did not. Make noise, make mistakes, make memories.
So, I'm maybe 10 or 11 years old, and I get home from school and I'm told to come in the door and sit down in the leather chair because a surprise awaits me. Before I knew it, floating down from the heavens above came a brand new electric guitar. This was a very exciting moment for me. I remember Dad's very cheesy grin on his face, but it started a love affair of music which has lasted my entire life, and the inspiration to go and create my own songs.
For some, applause is the goal. For others, it's standing back quietly and observing, being proud, patient, and occasionally teary.
The story I have about my Uncle Philip is when he came to my Year 6 production of The Lion King, and I've always wanted to be an actor, so this was a big deal to me. Everyone had to come. And apparently, he didn't think much of it, didn't think it was going to be great, just another primary school production. And apparently, as soon as he started, he burst out crying and absolutely loved the whole thing and will still tell me about it to this day. And I think that's just a testament to how supportive he's been through my whole journey and career into, being in the performance industry. When I got into an acting college, he sent me a beautiful handmade card. Same thing when I got into uni. And when I got my final grade recently, he was so quick to congratulate me and spread the word. And that is something that I will always, always be so grateful for.
Every house has its soundtrack. Theirs was a blend of laughter, guitars, and the occasional shouting at Strictly.
Played such a massive part of my childhood in the creative aspects of things, of doing fun things. And every time we went round to your house and we knew he was there, he was always like, do you want to play some music, or should we go and play cricket and things like that? Because, you know, we had a lot going on back then. It was a big safe haven for us. I don't think I've ever said thank you for it. We hadn't seen him in ages. At Theo's wedding, he literally rounded everyone up and went, look, come over here a sec, come over here. And everyone's like, what's he going on about? And he sat all of us down, and all we did was sit and talk about old stories for like an hour while all having a drink together.
I remember when we used to go over on Saturday nights to come over, and then when Strictly was on, I remember you could always hear your dad from the other room shouting at the TV, normally at one of the dancers if they're doing well, saying, come on.
I think that just sums him up. He's just the best.
Before he drew birds, before he grew wise, there was simply this: a boy, a hallway, and dangerously polished slippers.
I remember him spraying furniture polish onto the bottom of an old pair of slippers and buffing them up, and eventually he was gliding across the floor like Torvill and Dean. It was like an ice skating spectacular. And then he crashed into the back of a sofa.
Philip has opinions. We know this. Fortunately, he also has stationery.
Many years ago, I started to enthusiastically grab my copy of the Herald, taking quite an interest in the letter page. I started noticing some particularly weird letters. The first one, someone complaining about dog walkers having male dogs walking up and down the Leas with their undercarriage on display, suggesting that dog owners should dress their male dogs in a pair of pants to preserve their dignity. I then read about enthusiastically suggesting that Folkestone should host the Winter Olympics. It proposed in some detail how the harbour could be used to host the curling. At this point, I thought to myself, this has got Philip's fingerprints all over it. And I remember I challenged him on these letters, and he admitted that it was him writing them. The other thing that I realised about Philip at the time was that Philip doesn't really need the validation of knowing that other people are laughing at them. He just quietly enjoys his comedic interventions and pranks without needing to know that anyone else has got it.
Now, eccentricity isn't something one acquires, it simply reveals over time. At college, Philip perfected it, balancing brilliance with mischief, creativity with charm.
I first met Philip in 1984 when he walked into the pottery department wearing a very strange jacket. He had pillar box red hair, and he went on to make some quite amazing work in that department. And I remember he got taken to one side by one of the lecturers once and he said, you're building these pots with udders on the bottom of them. It was absolutely hilarious. He sort of got away with it, but they all thought that he was sort of taking the mickey because he was such a sort of funny sort of person. I won't mention the hamster and the sandwich. That would be another story that Philip can tell you himself.
Every epic concludes with a companion, loyal, unbothered, and slightly covered in canal water. I was 5 and I was in hospital, only for a short time, but I had something called HSP, which at the time sounded like a secret club that no one else wanted to join. The doctor said that I needed another blood test, and I said, absolutely not. There were conversations and there was pleading, and eventually Dad leaned in and, looking very serious, said, Millie, if you get this blood test, I will give you anything in the world. So I thought about it, I screwed up my face and I said, I want a puppy. He didn't even blink, he just said, deal. A gorgeous black Labrador with big ears, too big for her head. And that's how my dad made good on one of the best negotiations I've had in life. And I still think it was a fair trade.